Run, blessed one! Based on Genesis chapter 27, verses 42 through 46, and chapters 28 through 29, verses 1 through 14. Let's go! A servant overhears Esau's threat and runs to tell Rebekah what Esau said. Rebekah, I just overheard Esau. Wait, calm down. What is it? Esau, he's threatening to kill Jacob. What? I didn't see this coming. I must warn Jacob. Jacob! Jacob comes quickly. Yes, Mom. What is it? Your brother is consoling himself with the thought of killing you. Okay, I can't lose both of you, so listen to me. Go at once to my brother Laban's house in Haran. Stay with him a few days until Esau's rage subsides and he calms down and forgets what you've done to him. Afterwards, I'll send for your return. Do you understand? Yes, Mother. Rebekah immediately goes to Isaac and passes by one of Esau's Hittite wives. Hittite wife? Hey, Mom, what's going on? Rebekah ignores her and pretends like she isn't there and enters into Isaac's tent. I am tired of life because of these Hittite women. If Jacob marries one of them, my life will not be worth living. As Rebekah storms off, Isaac calls for Jacob. Jacob comes into his father's tent, a bit timidly. Come here, my boy. I bless you and charge you to not take a wife from this land. The Canaanite women, no, son, no. You must go to Padan Aram, where your mother's family is, and go to live with her brother Laban, and take one of his daughters to be your wife. Okay? May God bless you, make you fruitful, and multiply you. May God give you the blessing of Abraham, that you may inherit the land in which you will be a stranger. Go ahead, Jacob, my boy. The Lord is with you. Jacob leaves and begins his journey to Padan Aram, where his uncle lives. When Esau sees that his father blessed Jacob again and instructs him not to marry the women that he himself had already taken in marriage twice, he goes to his uncle Ishmael to marry one of his daughters, in addition to his other Canaanite wives. Meanwhile, Jacob journeyed until sunset and found a place to rest. He set stones under his head and fell asleep. While he was sound asleep, he began to dream and beheld a ladder reaching to the heavens, with angels descending and ascending on the ladder. And he seen the Lord standing above it. And the Lord said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you're lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth and will spread out to the east, west, north, and the south. All peoples will be blessed through you and your seed. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and will be with you when you return unto this land, and I've done all that I've told you. Jacob wakes up. Surely God was in this place, and I did not know it. Oh, my Lord, I'm so scared. What a dreadful place. This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. You know what? I will make me a pillar from these stones and anoint it with oil. I will call this place Bethel. And he made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and take care of me and allow me to return to my father's house safely, then the Lord will be my God, and I will anoint this pillar the house of God, and I will give 1/10 to God of everything that he gives me. Jacob continued his journey and reached Haran, the land where his parents instructed him to go. He stopped near a well where there were a few local men there with their flocks. Good day, men. Could you tell me where I am? One of the men. Well, you're in the land of Haran. Oh, that's good news. Would you know a fellow by the name of Laban? Oh Yeah, we know Laban, yeah. Well, how is he? Is he well? Oh, yeah, he's well. And here comes his daughter, Rachel, with his sheep. Jacob says, Hey, why don't you guys water your sheep and take them back to the pasture? One of the men says. No, it's not time yet, but before they could finish their statement, Jacob went over to the well where Rachel was and began to water her father's sheep. He kissed her and wept as he told her who he was. So Rachel ran to tell her father, Laban, Daddy! After Rachel tells her father that his nephew Jacob is near the well, Laban runs out to meet Jacob. Nephew, come here! He embraces him and gives him a kiss. Come stay with us. Back at home, Jacob told his uncle all about his journey. And I was so scared because I had no idea that the Lord was in that place. I mean, I thought I was afraid when I stole Esau's blessing, but that fear did not compare. You truly are my nephew. Laban, who this woman? Based on Genesis chapter 29, verses 15 through 30. Jacob wastes no time making himself useful and serving wherever he saw a need, and Laban takes notice. Nephew, I appreciate all your help around here, but I can't take advantage of me like that. Name your wage. Huh? Well, Unc, I'm in love with Rachel, so I'll be willing to work for 7 years to marry her. What do you say? Rachel? I don't know, nephew. 7 years? You know, you'd be better than a stranger. All right, nephew, you got yourself a deal. Yes. Now keep in mind that Laban has 2 daughters. Leah was his eldest, and she was not blessed with good looks. And his youngest daughter was Rachel, who was blessed with good looks. Jacob gladly serves his uncle Laban, and the years fly by because of his great love for Rachel. Finally, on the 2,555th day, Jacob is ready to get his reward. Yo, Unc, I fulfilled my service. Give me my bride. Nephew, slow your roll. I got you. But first we must feast. Go get cleaned up. So they feasted and celebrated the upcoming union with many of the townsmen. That evening, Jacob, here's your bride. But don't look too hard. It's against our customs. Say that for later. Rachel, I've waited 7 years for this. Are you sick or something? The next morning, Jacob awakes to find not Rachel, but Leah next to him, and he was furious and confronts Laban. Where you? You tricked me, Unc! You gave me Leah, not Rachel. I worked 7 years for you, cleaning sheep poop with a smile for Rachel, not Leah. Leah not even my type. Her eyes are crossed. Nephew, calm down. I couldn't marry the younger before the older. That's against my custom. Tell you what. You finish this week with Leah, and you can marry Rachel next week in exchange for another 7 years of your service. Deal? Fine. You take Leah back afterwards. Nope. Enjoy your bride. Jacob is still not happy about his arrangement, but he keeps his end of the bargain. Finally, the next week came, and Rachel is given to him as his bride. The one true love of my life. How I've waited for this moment, Rachel. Me too. I can't believe my father tricked you. The Lord of the Wombs. Based on Genesis chapter 29, verses 31 through 35, and chapter 30, verses 1 through 24. Laban gave his daughters each a maidservant, Zilpah for Leah, and Bilhah for Rachel. And the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, so he opened her womb. And with every pregnancy and birth, she hoped that her husband would finally love her and become attached to her. Yes, I'm pregnant. I will name him Reuben. Surely the Lord has seen my misery. Now my husband will love me. Yes. Second son. It is because the Lord heard that I was hated. He gave me a son. I will name him Simeon. Yes. Third son, Levi. Now this time my husband will be attached to me, for I've bore him 3 sons. Fourth son, Judah. Now I will praise the Lord. He loved me or not. Meanwhile, Rachel is jealous and distraught because she can't have any kids. In her distress, she says, "Give me kids or I'll die," as she faints, falls out. Jacob becomes very angry and says, "Girl, please, am I God? Who is keeping you from having kids? Because it ain't me." Rachel gets the right idea and grabs her maidservant, Bilhah. "Here, have Bilhah. Sleep with her so I can have a family of my own." So Jacob does as Rachel says, and her servant gets pregnant, not once, but twice. The first time she bore a son. Rachel says, "Yes, God has vindicated me and gave me a son. I'm going to call him Dan." Yes. The second time Rachel's servant gets pregnant, Rachel says, "Yes, my sister will not get the upper hand because I have prevailed. His name will be Naphtali." Leah notices that she's not bearing any kids, for the time being at least, so she gives Jacob her maidservant. Leah says to Jacob, "Here, you take Zilpah to be your wife. Go now." Her servant bears him a son, and Leah says, "A troop is coming, and his name is Gad." Yes. Leah's servant bears him another son. Leah says, "Happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed and highly favored." One day, Leah buys Jacob for a night with some mandrakes she sold to her sister Rachel. And she conceives yet a 5th son and names him Issachar. And again she gets pregnant, and Leah says, "This is a precious gift from God. Surely my husband will treat me with honor, for I have bore him 6 sons. I'll name him Zebulun." Yep. And again she becomes pregnant, but this time she bore Jacob a daughter and named her Dinah. And God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and opened her womb. So Rachel finally became pregnant and gave birth to a son. Rachel says, "Surely the Lord has taken away my disgrace." And she called him Joseph. "May the Lord grant me another son. Please, God, come on." That's my cue to go, based on Genesis chapter 30, verses 25 through 43, and chapter 31. After Joseph was born, Jacob went to Laban. "Hey, Laban, I think my time is up here. I've served you 14 years. I'm ready to go back to my homeland with my wives and children." Laban says, "I beg of you, if I found favor in your sight, please stay. I know that the Lord is blessing me because of you. Name your wage and it's yours, nephew." Jacob says, "You know how I've served you and how good I am with your cattle. You didn't have half of what you have now when I first came. The Lord has blessed and increased you greatly because of me. But when can I do something for my own household?" Laban, "What shall I give you, Jacob? Say the word." "You know what? Don't give me anything. Just do this for me and I'll say, allow me to take all of your spotted and speckled cattle and goat and any brown sheep as my wage. I promise if you find anything to the contrary in my possession, you can consider it stolen." "As you wish, Jacob." Jacob, in his craftiness, knew how to make the unspotted flock bear young that appeared to be spotted, streaked, and speckled. He did this by placing the peeled branches near the watering troughs where the strong animals came to drink and mate. He set apart the strong young for himself, while giving Laban the weak of the flock. He did this for 6 years and grew multitudes of flocks, possessions, and servants. One day, Jacob overhears Laban's sons. One of Laban's sons. You know he getting rich off Dad and taking what belongs to him. This should be our inheritance. Right. Then Jacob notices that Laban's attitude begins to change towards him. Then God tells Jacob, "Return to the land of your father and relatives, and I will be with you." Jacob calls Leah and Rachel out to the fields near his flock to have a very important conversation. All right, ladies, your dad's attitude has changed towards me. You both know that I've served him faithfully for all these years, and he's cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. God has not allowed him to harm me. If he decided to give me only speckled sheep, then all the flocks gave birth to the speckled young. If he changed it to streaked only, the flock bore streaked young. So the Lord has taken away your father's livestock and given it to me. God gave me a dream, showing me that this would happen. And he told me to leave this land and go back to my homeland. Rachel and Leah responds, "Do we have any inheritance in our father's house? He treats us as strangers, and the money he sold us for, it's almost gone. Now that God has taken away his riches, is it not ours and our children's? Whatever God told you to do, please do it." So Jacob gathers all of his possessions, servants, wives, and children, and loaded them on camels to leave without telling Laban anything. They headed towards Mount Gilead. Meanwhile, Laban was away shearing his sheep when they left. And prior to leaving, Rachel stole her father's household gods. 3 days had passed, and Laban finds out that Jacob fled. So he squads up with some of his bros. He traveled 7 days and made it to the same vicinity where Jacob and his family was, his daughters and his grandchildren. They pitched a tent there for the night, and God appeared to Laban in a dream and said, "Be careful not to speak anything good or bad to Jacob. Do you understand?" Laban and his crew rose up on Jacob and his family. Laban says, Nephew, what's this you done? You deceived me, man. Carrying off my daughters like captives, taken by swords. Why you leave without telling me, huh? Stealing from me and keeping secrets and whatnot? You deprived me of the opportunity to send you away with music and gladness. Not even giving me the chance to kiss my daughters and sons goodbye, you disrespectful. You've done a foolish thing, Jacob. I can't even look at you right now, because I might just hurt you. And the only thing holding me back is the fact that your God told me not to say nothing good or bad to you last night. You better be glad. You better be glad. But tell me this. Why'd you steal my gods, huh? Why? Jacob answers Laban, I was afraid, because I thought you'd take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone with your gods, they will not live. In the presence of everyone here, search our belongings and see if you find anything of yours. If so, you can have it. Jacob was unaware that his beloved wife, Rachel, took the gods. So Laban searched everywhere and couldn't find it. Rachel avoided being searched by saying that she was on her monthly. When Laban couldn't find anything, Jacob became very angry. What was the crime I have committed, huh? Why do you chase me down like a wild bandit? What did you find of yours? Set it out for everybody to see. I have served you faithfully for 20 years, and you paid me by cheating me 10 times. You were harsh with me. If any sheep was stolen by day or night, you demanded that I pay it back at once. So I took the loss. I stayed up late and endured the cold and got up early to bear the heat of the day. If it was up to you, I would have been sent away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship, and he rebuked you last night. What? Hey, yo, Neff. The women, they my children. They children, my children too. The flocks, they my flocks. Everything you see is mine. Mine. You know what, Neff? What can I do today about these daughters and their children? Come, Jacob, come on. Let's make a covenant between the two of us. Let it be a witness between us. So Jacob, along with all his relatives, gathered some stones and piled them up in a heap. And they ate there and named that place Jegar-Sudith in Gilead. Laban also called it Mizpah and says, May the Lord keep watch between you and me while we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters or take any wives besides my daughters, remember that God is a witness between us. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, that I will not go past it to your side to harm you, and you will not go past it to my side to harm me. May God be the judge between us. So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there and invited his family to a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his sons and daughters and set off to go back home. Dun, dun, dun! Oh, Lord! That was intense. What's gonna happen next? We shall see. Until next time.